Welcome to ProPractice, your guide to piano mastery. I'm Josh Wright, and today's video is the second tutorial in the ProPractice Technique Series, where together we will be exploring scales, arpeggios, triads and inversions, and seventh chords and inversions in each key. Today's video comprises the key of G, so we will be going over G major and G harmonic minor scales, the G major and G minor arpeggio, and then major, minor, diminished, and augmented triads and inversions, and then major, dominant, minor, half-diminished, and fully diminished seventh chords and inversions. As with all other videos in this technique series, we will be going over a unique way of practicing, and today is one of my favorites, finger staccato. If I had to sum up the most useful practice technique that I give students, it would be finger staccato. It'd be the topic of today's video. And it's very basic. You just pretend that you're plucking a guitar string as you play. This is going to help with speed. It's going to help with cleaner releases, so it will help you get faster. It will also help a great deal with clarity. A lot of times students will play scales and they'll have a lot of inconsistencies with how much overlap they have. And after playing, practicing finger staccato, you can get that nice, light, airy scale. Sometimes we call this purling. You'll hear that word as you read old biographies and some textbooks. You'll hear this word purling. And basically, it is this practice of releasing keys very quickly. I even have an old YouTube video called Pearly Sound, where I talk about this beautiful passage in the Chopin Concerto No. 2 in F minor that Murray Pariah played, and his recording fascinated me. At that point, it's a beautiful recording overall, but especially that, I said, how does he get that sound? And this is how he gets that sound. It's by purling or by using finger staccato. So let's go over some basics. First of all, I didn't address this in the last video, but bench position is part of developing good technique. So this would be too high. This would be, for me, a little on the low side. This feels just right, somewhere in here. I like a little higher bench because I have long arms, but I like it somewhere at a right angle here. Obviously, it can be extended a little bit too. That's fine. But what I don't want is so low that this arm is on an upward angle, and I don't want so high that the arm is on a downward angle. Somewhere in the middle is going to give you really nice results. Lean those shoulders back. We don't want to be hunched over like this. I have a bad habit of doing this a lot when I play, and I'm always trying to correct that with better head position. It was especially bad when I was younger, and I had a lot of back pain. So just a few little disclaimers before we start the video. Watch out for that, and I'm going to sprinkle in little pieces of advice like that throughout this entire series to hopefully give you a holistic way of approaching these technical concepts. Okay, as with the C major video that we just did, we're going to have a series of 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the left hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So if we know where the fours are, we're going to know the rest of the fingering because the fours only come once each octave. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The ones, the twos, and the threes each come twice in each octave. So we just want to watch out for that. Okay? Let's start hands alone with right. We'll start with right hand, and let's just try this finger staccato approach. I teach this a little bit differently than I did. Obviously, this is a refilmed video. I originally filmed this in 2014. And it needed a refresh because I have better lighting, mics, and cameras. However, I also wanted to refilm this to clarify a few things because I teach a little bit differently now that I have another decade of experience under my belt. So part of this that I used to teach is you can pluck really hard, almost like into the palm. And while that's a good starter, sometimes you'll get those bobbling hammers you do this really hard. I don't think that that is a good way to practice long term, because this will end up taking more effort than it was just to play legato anyway. So we're just going to minimize this. And notice my hand position. Kind of like this. I'm not like this, and I'm not like this. If you watch Martha Argerich play, she has this beautiful bridge in her hand right here. And she has one of the greatest techniques of the last century. She's so incredible. And she plays like that. Not that I want you to play dead straight and only playing like this, because that can bring its own issues with tension. But what we're doing is we're keeping the wrist pretty neutral, and then just the tiniest little finger pluck with each key, getting off the key as quick as we can, and making the smallest backward motion, kind of back and up motion, like that. And it doesn't have to be heavy. You don't need to do this really loudly, but don't do it too softly either. Okay, let's try it with left hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3. Oops, sorry about that. I'm not going to edit out any little mistakes because I want you guys to see them if I make a mistake. One of the things that students describe to me a lot is they say, it feels very uncomfortable to go across my body. First of all, we were talking about bench position. Make sure that your bench is far enough back that you have clearance, that your arm can pass by your core like this. And if you're playing scales hands together, what I like to do is spread the legs apart slightly, and I like to keep the shoulders level. So as I go up, I was kind of talking into the mic here, so I really let this arm just kind of come across my body. I actually don't love playing like that. Instead, I'd rather do this. See, my shoulders are still fairly parallel to the ground. And these sit bones that you're sitting on, you'll shift to the right or you'll shift to the left. I'm not tipping my entire body over as I do that, because getting out of balance can really have a bad effect on your piano playing. Just a little review of last video's hands together technique to get the fingering right. You can say 4 left, 4 right, 4 left. 4 right, 4 left. Okay, so let's try this hands together now, slowly. Okay, and you're just going to do that until that feels good. You can also build up in octaves. So if you're having a hard time doing all 4 octaves and your fingerings getting all messed up, just try up and down 1 octave, and then try 2 octaves. This is a little precursor for the next video. And that's a great way to practice. Another thing that came up in my mind as I was playing through that I wanted to mention. This is a great training ground to think about evenness in sound, not only evenness in rhythm. This would be uneven rhythm. So obviously the notes are like fast, slow, fast. You know, they're all over the place. I'm not talking about evenness in rhythm. I'm talking about evenness in sound. Do the notes match each other? So do you have random accents? Like, are your thumbs too loud? Or maybe your second finger is sticking out. See if you can get a smooth, even plane. This series really isn't even about teaching you the scales and arpeggios and triads and 7th chords. Of course it is, but more than that, it's to give you, and most of all, it's to give you tools, because any teacher can teach you this stuff. Like any teacher could teach you how to play a G major scale. You could teach yourself how to play a G major scale. You don't even need a teacher. But how to practice these effectively and to put them to good use to prepare you for playing difficult passages in your repertoire, that's where I've really relied a lot on my teachers throughout my lifetime. And a lot of these tools I'm giving you guys in this series are things that they've given me. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. Let's go over to G minor. So the parallel minor, so G major, G minor, that's parallel. While I'm flipping over here, there's something called relative minor, which means the minor key that shares the same key signature as a major key. So G major has one sharp, as you saw from your score. I've included links to this Hanon score, but if you have a scale book, you'll see that it has one sharp. If you want to find the minor key that has one sharp, all you do is you go down 3 half steps. So E minor would be the relative minor. So a little sprinkling of theory there for you. But we're doing the parallel minors because I didn't want to confuse everybody with how I labeled these videos. Like G major with E minor, harmonic, it would make sense, but it would be really messy with how I organize these. So let's go over to G minor harmonic. As you probably remember from last video, we have our natural minor. So G minor has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. However, that doesn't take into account the leading tone, the 7th scale degree. So scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In harmonic minor, we raise that 7th scale degree to create a dominant chord, or a leading tone. So for our cadences at the ends of phrases or the ends of the piece. Okay, so that's going to be our scale. So let's try this slowly, hands alone to hands together. A fun little piano fact, you're going to notice, you can hear it pretty well on this piano actually. Can you see how that one sounds a lot more resonant than this G versus this A? It's because those notes up at the very highest register of your piano don't have dampers on them, those little pieces of felt that quiet the sound down. So if you're hearing that, you're like, he's got really clean sound on the way up, but when all of a sudden up here, it's a lot more resonant. It's because it doesn't have dampers on it. There's no way to physically make that sound go any quicker from a release standpoint or a quieting down standpoint. Okay, left hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lean over. Keep those shoulders pretty parallel. Okay, and a good way to check your fingering along the way as you start putting this together is to have a landmark note. We'll just keep it simple. At the octaves, we always have thumbs. Obviously, the first octave we have 5 and 1, and the top octave we have 5 and 1 there. But along the way, as we ascend, ones, 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 5 and 1. 1 right there. Okay, coming down, sorry. One. Okay, and so forth. Sorry, I didn't call them all out. Ones. Sorry, saying all this out loud is screwing me up. Ones. 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 Okay, and then 5 and 1 at the end. Okay, that's about as fast as I would recommend. You can go a little faster like that. But we don't really want to be pushing the tempo up into crazy realms when we are practicing finger staccato, because the entire purpose of this is to get off the keys really quickly. This will help you to get into those faster speeds. But the practice of this should be done at a slow to medium tempo to start, to make sure you are releasing consistently. Can't tell you how many students I've taught that some of their notes are short and then others are long. So we want to go slow enough that we can check each individual note.